Welcome to this new video. This is about chapter 13, the cost of production. So during this video we're going to work from the first exercise to the fifth. Okay, so we're going to solve those exercises of the book of Gregory Mankiw, 7th edition. So our first question says that this chapter discusses many types of costs: opportunity cost, total cost, fixed cost, variable cost, average total cost, and marginal cost. Fill in the type of cost that best completes each sentence. So the first one says, what you give up for taking some action is called the. Basically, remember that in economics, when we talk about opportunity cost, it means something that you forego in order to have another stuff. So in this time, for example, the time that I'm recording this video, I can watch TV. So this is my opportunity cost in my case. So for example, the other one says B is falling when marginal cost is below it and rising when marginal cost is above it. So here, in order to answer this question, we need to first understand the shapes of the curves of the cost. Here we are talking about marginal cost. So here is the marginal cost, which in this graph particularly is always rising. And what about uh, the what about here the margin cost? Here we need to compare with this one, with the average total cost. Why? Every time the marginal cost, it has a direct relationship with the average total cost. Remember, when you talk about the GPA, for example, if your next exam, which is going to be your marginal, is higher than your average, naturally your average will increase. When your marginal, which is going to be the next one, is going to be lower to the average total cost, or your GPA, in that case this is going to be decreasing. So this time ATC is falling when marginal cost below it and rising when marginal cost above it. So this is the average total cost. The other question says, a cost that does not depend on the quantity produced is an. In this time, remember the fixed cost. It They are interpreted at all the costs that they don't change at all, even when your production is so large. As an example, we have, for example, the rent. Even if you just produce one pizza, or you just produce one car, or you just produce one cookie, you need to pay every single month the rent. So this is what we call the fixed cost. Then in the ice cream industry, in the short run, includes the cost of cream and sugar, but not the cost of factory. Remember, what is the difference between short and long run? It's not only the time frame, but it what we call the changes when all the costs are variable in the long run, and in the short run we have fixed costs. So at this time, remember that the variable cost includes just the cost of the cream and sugar, but not the cost of the factory. This is what it's going to be just in the long run. Here, the last question of the first point says the next. Says the profits equal total revenue minus. Remember the question. So we have here the profits are equal. So here we have the profits are exactly equal to the revenue price times the quantity minus the total cost. Remember, they are, it is the sum of total cost, sorry, fixed cost plus variable cost. Then the second question, here actually the last one, I'm sorry, there was still one. The cost of producing an extra unit of output is the. Every time you have a comparison, or you need to figure out what happened with the some variable when something changes in one unit, every time we talk about marginal. So for example, uh, the value that you receive, the revenue additional that you receive when you sell one additional unit, this is marginal revenue. Well, the cost of producing one unit additional, this is what we call marginal cost. Okay. The second part says, okay, disregard this. I'm sorry, this was not okay, the entrance of them, but it's gonna be okay. So here, second point says, your aunt is thinking about opening a hardware store. She estimates that it would cost 500,000 per year to rent the location and buy the stock. In addition, she would have to quit her 50,000 per year job as an accountant. First, define opportunity cost. So basically, it's the cost you face to forego to acquire something. Is what you are saying that you're not going to take because you are doing something right now. As I said before, the opportunity cost of me now is this one. This video is sleep, for example. So the other question says, what is your aunt's opportunity cost of running a hardware store for a year? If your aunt thinks she can sell 510,000 worth merchandise in a year, should she open the store? Explain. So what is the idea? Here we have first this is the cost per year of the renting, right? The rent, which is a fixed cost. This is what we call you can the opportunity cost of this one is you can use whatever you want. You can travel with that. So here, actually, this person, my aunt, can use that in another thing. So this is what we call a kind of explicit cost because you need to outlay that money. The other part here that we have is the 50,000 because even she does not have to pay anything to the to the former firm. This is an implicit cost because due to the fact that she's running this new firm, she won't receive anymore the income that she previously received. So it's what we call the implicit cost. So here we can think about two kind of benefits. A content profits, it means just flow of money. So the first one is going to be this one. This is going to be $510,000, which is going to be the income that my aunt will sell, minus the cost of the rent, which is going to be 500,000. So this is going to be the benefit. Then, when we talk about economics profits, we have still the same, which is the cost, the revenue. Then you will have here the the cost, the rent, but here different from accountant profits, we include the 50,000 dollars because this is the opportunity cost. Even you don't need to pay that. It takes or it's important and the aunt can consider this value in order to decide something. So for this reason, maybe it could be the case that for this reason the economic profit is negative, and then she won't open the store because she will earn 10,000, which is smaller than the value that she was earning before. Then the third point says, a commercial fisherman notices that the following relationship between hours spent fishing and the quantity of fish caught. Here we have the table, we have the number of hours from 0 to 5, and here we have the quantity of fish in pounds. So here we have from 0 to 30. This is going to be like the production. If this person works 0 hours, naturally he will fish just 0, and at the end when he works 5 hours he will have at the end 30 pounds of fish. So here the first question says, what is the marginal product of each hour spent fishing? So remember, the marginal product in this time is just the change in the production over the change in the hours worked. So here we have the first one is going to be 10. It's going to be 10 minus 0 over 1 minus 0. As you notice, every time in the denominator is going to be the change 1 every single time. So here it's going to be denominator every time 1, and denominator is going to be 10 minus 0, 10. Then for the second hour, the marginal product will be 8. Then will be 6, 4, 2. So here this is the marginal product. As you notice, this is decreasing, and we are going to figure out why. Here the other question says use this data to graph the Fisherman's production function and explain its shape. You can simply write in a graph, so basically you can just write or you can make it in Excel. I know it's a simple graph, but anyway, if you don't understand how to graph that, I'm going to explain. Okay, so how I take this one before explaining this one. So first, I'm going to show you here. So we have here the hours. Okay, we have here the hours from 0 to 5, here the quantity. Okay, and we need to find this graph. So here is an example. We have already here this table. So what we're going to do, we're going to select that. Okay, then after select that, we are going to say insert, and after insert we are going to choose this first one. Okay, as you notice, something here is strange because here we have a graph as well. So this is graphing or this is showing as well the hours, but we don't care about that, the hours. So we can select that, the left click. Once we select, we can cancel this one with the keyboard, and when we cancel, we have this one. What else you figured out here that it doesn't work too well? Here the title, naturally the title is more the production function, so we're going to select here and we're going to change production function. Okay, after having this one, we need the axis label. So how we can create the axis label in Excel? It's just simple. We go here to the add chart element. We are here in design, and we go here. We go to axis. Sorry, we go to the let me see here, data labels, data table, chart title, axis title. Here we are. Here we have the primary x vertical, and we're going to add the other one, which is going to be the primary horizontal. And here what we have here. Here we have the production, which is basically the quantity of fish in pounds, right? So here we are. And here is going to be the hours. So here we have the hours. Maybe we can already cancel this one. Okay, but here is something strange. You figured out here that it starts from 1, and actually I want that it starts from 0. So how we can change that? I propose we can go here to the data, and then from the data, actually here we can find, let me see here, design, select data, I'm sorry, design, select data, and here, as you notice, we're going to edit here the X label. We're going to edit, the 8 label is going to be this one. Okay, so we select this one, and we said okay, and then here we are. We change that, and we have here 0 to 5. Okay, and we have here the production function is how I create this table. Then we have here, as we said before, and then the question is explains its shape. As you noticed here, it was 0 0, then it was 1 10, and then it immediately goes flatter. Why does it happen? It happens basically because of the diminishing marginal principle. What does it mean? It means that each time you work more, you are going to be less productive as before. So for this reason, your marginal product is going to be less, which is going to be the slope of your production function. Okay, then a commercial, okay, again it says, okay, the fisherman has a fixed cost of $10, his pole. Okay, then the opportunity cost of his time is $5 per hour. Graph the fisherman's total cost curve, explain its shape. So here we are. We have again, I copy the same values of hours and quantity of fishing in pounds, and then remember this is here a fixed cost. What does it mean? It means that basically it does not change at all even when the hours changes. You need to pay anyway. If you work 1 or 10 hours, you need to pay anytime $10. So this one is going to be cheap. It's going to be 10. Then the variable cost is changing 5 per hour. The first is 0 hours, so naturally you won't pay for that. Then your opportunity cost changes here by 5 rate. It's going to be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And then your total cost is going to be the sum of fixed cost plus variable cost. It's going to be 10 plus 0, 10, 10 plus 5, 15, so on and so forth. Here we have now the graph. So how we can represent that in a basically how we can represent that in a table in Excel. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to put here total cost is going to start 10, 15, then 20, and as you notice, Excel immediately recognizes that you increase by 5, and then it continues just making 2 times click, left click here. So here we're going to make Control C, then outside Control B, and we have here this other question, this other graph. So how I can change? We go again here to design, and we're going to select data, and instead of using this one, I'm going to edit this one, because what I'm going to work here is not this series. I'm going to work with the total cost, and the series value is not going to be any more that, it's going to be this one. Then I'm going to make this one okay, and then okay. On here we have it's not going to be quantity, yes, it's going to be the quantities, and this one is going to be the hours again. But here actually this is not going to be any more the quantity, actually it's going to be the total cost, right? So we're going to change this one by the total cost, and this one naturally is going to be the total cost. As you notice, it's just this one, the same graph that I did over here. This was the total cost. So here what you notice that it's a straight line with a constant slope, actually, because a line. So it means that any change that you have in hours, your cost is gonna exactly change at the same rate. Is what we call marginal cost constant of this time. Not marginal cost. At this time, we are going to have here the total cost presented by hours, but actually I'm just figuring out here that you need to take into account that here you won't have the hours, but we need to have here the quantities, right, here produced. So let's make a change here. So instead of doing this one, we're going to select data, and this one, the edit, is going to be or more the hours, but it's going to be the pounds. So it's going to be this one. This is going to be more. This is going to be the quantities. And actually, it's an increasing factor of the quantities, okay, here, but we will realize afterwards that actually is not the same. Marginal cost is not constant, because here it changes 5 but it changes 10, and this one it changes 5 but it changes 8, so it changes. So here it's not going to be the hours, but it's going to be the quantities. So then the fourth says, Nimbus Incorporate makes brooms and then sells them door to door. Here is the relationship between the number of workers and Nimbus output in a given day. So here we have. Here the idea is that we have here the table, so we need to understand first what the table says. Here we have the workers from 0 to 7, and here we have the output, what they produce, the brooms that they sell door to door. The first question says, fill in the column of marginal products. What pattern do you see? How might you explain it? So here is the idea. The marginal product is going to be the change in the numerator of the output, which is going to be 20 minus 0, over the change in the workers, in the labor, which is going to be 1 minus 0. It's going to be 1 every time the denominator. So for this reason, we're going just to focus explicitly in this change in the output. So we have here 20, 30, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5. Then the other question says, before we need to explain what pattern you see. You see that first the marginal product increases until the third worker. When we overpass the third worker, automatically the marginal product starts to decrease. Starts to decrease at this value. So how we can understand that? Basically, because when we have just one worker, he or she needs to work by himself or by herself. Then when we have more people, we can have a divide work. So for this reason, the second one is even more productive than the first, and the third one is even more productive than the previous two. Once we reach this first part that we call increasing marginal product, we start to face the rule of the diminishing marginal product, because after this little peak of 40, this starts to decrease the value. And why does it decrease? It decreases basically because they are not as productive as before, because for example, they are going to start problems between them in some way. So for example, if they're just working, for example, in a neighborhood, or they don't move to another place, they are not going to sell as well as the previous one. So the second question says a worker costs $100 a day and the firm has fixed costs of 200. Use this information to fill in the column for total cost. So here I just increase, or I just added a fixed cost to put here. So it's going to be every single quantity you need to pay exactly the same, 200. Then your total cost is going to be naturally 200 because you don't hire anyone, so you don't need to pay any salary. Once you hire the first one, is going to be $100 plus the fixed cost. So this total cost is going to increase at the rate of 100. So here we have 100. Then the total cost is going to be the average total cost is going to be what? It's going to be this one 200 divided the output 0, because it's indeterminate. You cannot find any number at all that multiplies 0 and it becomes 200. So for this reason we make here an hyphen. So here we have 515. Why? Because it's going to be the change in the cost, which is going to be every single time 100. So the numerator is going to be exactly every single time 100, divided the change in the output, 20 minus 0. Okay, so it's going to be 20. So at this time we have the total cost, which is the, I'm sorry, here is not the change of this one. This is going to be for the marginal cost. The total cost is going to be 300 over 20 is going to be 15. 400 over 50 is going to be 8. 500 over 90 is going to be 5.56, and so on and so forth. So what is the pattern here? Here, as you remember, the average total cost has an U form here. So it starts in 15, it decreases until the minimum of 5 and then start to increase. What about the marginal cost? It's going to be 100, the difference between 300 minus 200, 100 over 20. It's going to be 5. Then 100 every time, as I said before, is going to be 100 over 30. It's going to be this. 100 over 40. 100 over 30, and here we have 100 over 20 of this difference, and so on and so forth. So here, what is the relation here? As you notice, because of the relation of the increasing for the increasing marginal product at the first time, the marginal cost is like falling, but then starts to increase. And what is the relation with the average total cost? Remember, every time the marginal cost is smaller than the average total cost is falling. So this one is falling. When they are the same, it reaches the minimum, and then when this is higher, the average total cost start to increase. So here, fill in the column for average total cost. This one, what pattern do you see? As I said before, it is a U-shaped. It increases and then it decreases. The other question says, um, sorry here. Okay, the other question says, now fill in the column for marginal cost. Is what we already did. And what pattern do you see? The same. It starts to decrease because the increasing uh, marginal product, and then it starts to increase. Then compare the column for marginal product and the column for marginal cost. Explain the relation. As I said, when this one is smaller than this one, this is decreasing. This is larger than this one, this is increasing. Why? Your next exam is going to be worse than your average. The average is going to decrease. Your next exam is going to be higher than your average is going to increase. And then compare the column for average total cost and the column for marginal cost. Explain the relationship. This is what we already did. Yeah, with the average total, yes. Average total cost and the average total cost, yes, we already did it. And this one is the marginal product. Sorry, this one is what I didn't explain. So the idea is like you visualize here when this one it was increasing, this marginal cost was decreasing. When this one starts to decrease, it starts to increase. So for this reason, what we have here is that this one, remember this is the slope of the this is the slope of the production function, and this is the slope of the total cost. So this one is getting flatter, it has this shape, and the total cost they have this shape. So this one is getting steeper. Okay, the last question says you are the chief financial officer for a firm that sells digital music players. Your firm has the following average total cost schedule. Here we have our table. So if we sell 600 players, the average total cost will be 300. When we have 601, the average total cost is going to be 301. So it means that it's going to increase. So the question says, sorry for that. Uh, your current level of production is 600 devices, all of which have been sold. Someone calls, desperate. You buy one of your music players. The caller offers you $550 for it. Should you accept the offer? Why or not? So thinking about economics strictly, we need to understand if it's going to be profitable or not. How we can understand that? We can start here for the average total cost in order to find the total cost of 600 players. So here we have the average total cost is going to be 301, and the quantity is going to be this one. So I started with this one. So here you immediately recognize that the total cost is going to be 180,000. $180,901 is going to be your total cost for that. And then the previous total cost that you faced was 180,000. So then you will compare this marginal cost. If this marginal cost is higher than this one, you won't sell that. Okay, but if this one is smaller than this value, then it's going to be profitable, so you can go for it, you can do it. So here what we can do here, here we have the difference. So we discovered that the marginal cost, this one is the cost of this new unit, so it means that this person pays more than this one, is going to be profitable, otherwise it's not. Okay, so at this time I recommend don't do that, because otherwise maybe you need to pay for your salary. Okay, so that's all for this video. I hope it has worth. As I said, in every single media, in every single video, that's not the final true. It's just what I think, that how we can solve these exercises. But if you can find a better way, if you think that something is wrong, we are here for learning. Okay, please comment, suggest, think, and say what you think about the video, and that's all. See you the next time. Bye bye.